Presence, 3.9. Something that the student feels about the instructor, often before he or she even appears. Boy, I tell you what, you come in there dressing nice, you come in there walking solid, you come feeling good, you know you're prepared. You can talk to the students before class because you set up the equipment way in advance, right? You're set, you're ready to go. Now it's time to play. Just to hang out with the guys, get a cup of coffee and talk to them and tease them. And and you're running around and you're like, man, you're carrying yourself well because you're ready. If not, then you're just like afraid and, the equipment's not working and then you're falling behind. Presence cultivates a feeling of emotional closeness with the student as if they had shared a special moment with you. I hope and I think even with the class, and Brian, you've been in my class, and Ryan, have you been in one of my big classes that I taught in Florida, okay? Yeah. Go ahead, what are you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, and this goes back a number of years, but when you did your first solar boot camp program, and I was part of the videos and all that, but, you took a group of the guys before anything happened, said, hey guys, you know what, I got about an hour. Let's all go grab something to eat across the street. And it was like 10 or 15 of us, whatever it was. But just that time, there was already like this group of people that, and I don't know that you even knew most of the guys. I think it was just like random, like
you're right,
they were in the lobby and I happened to be in the lobby and you're like, hey, anybody want to go to dinner? And it was just like, okay, let's go. Just that closeness, it really, I guess just really drew everybody in right at the beginning of the seminar because all of a sudden you just have these people that are connecting and you had some people that you could immediately start feeding off of, and so the energy built really fast, and then everybody else is like, oh wow, he's close because it just happened.
Right? Did you ever, at the class, did you feel that people felt a connection that something was special happening in the class? Or are you too close to the fire here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're with me too many years.
I think so, yeah.
I think a lot of people, they feel like, there was something happened this weekend. I leave that class, and I feel my wife sees me, and she sees my emotion. I feel that there's a very special thing that happens at that class. There's a glow that I leave, and I just feel really special. And I try to do that when I leave people.
Yeah, that feeling never gets old.
No.
Every time it happens.
Here's just hanging out with one of the guys, talking to him. I think he's probably in the mafia or something like that. he's one of my buddies up in, I think, New Jersey, New York. 3.10, take control. Project a sense of purpose, be decisive, and be well prepared. Take control of the class. Project a positive attitude of confidence, sensitivity towards the student. That's how you take control of the class. 3.11, teach it. Don't show off your knowledge. I have to tell you a story. Oh my gosh. I'm doing a seminar for a guy 6 weeks in Boeing. The guy contracts me to go to Boeing for 6 weeks. And I go there and I do my thing, and the guy's sitting in the middle of the class in the back. The guy who hired me to do a seminar for 6 weeks, and he's there. And I'm teaching my class. It's a little unnerving because this guy's just making notes all day long in a legal pad. And he flips the page. And he just, like what you got, Eric, kind of like that. He's just flipping the page. And I'm thinking, it's a 1 week class. I'm doing 6 times for 6 different Boeing facilities. I thought, I know what this guy's doing. He's making all these notes because he's going to hear it 6 times. He's an architect. Then he's going to cut me out of the program. And then he's going to be teaching the class. Okay, whatever. So I'm doing my thing. At the end of the first day, I'm going to be there for 6 weeks, so we are staying at a residence inn, and we're up in the room, and he has his pad of paper, and he's just flipping it. I'm just relaxed. I think I did a great job. I mean, honestly, I think I did a good job, really, seriously. So we're down there, and he says, so how'd you think to do today? I'm thinking, I didn't want to say I did a great job because, I don't want to show off. I'm not that kind of guy, So I said, well, I did okay, He goes, yeah. He said, I bet you. He says, probably at the end of the week when they do a survey, he says, you're probably going to get some pretty good reviews. I'm thinking, yeah, Mike Holt, But I don't say that. I'm just thinking, well, he's usually get pretty good reviews. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm thinking, yeah, of course I get good reviews. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm good. All right? That's what I'm thinking. But I'm not saying anything to the guy. Just trying to be real kind of like just cool here, you know. He says, well, I took some notes. You know, how you working today? I'm thinking, what? I'm thinking to myself, what? Yeah, I had some notes, just some thoughts that I had. I don't know if you're up for suggestions or anything like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. I'm thinking, yeah, sure. I mean, I always like to be a bit better. I like to get improved. I mean, that's how you grow, right? You get feedback from people, right? The guy says, well, I don't know where to start. And I'm freaking out. Now I'm sweating. You can feel, you know how when you get in an uncomfortable situation, when you feel your body gets hot, and you can feel that sheen of perspiration, even though it's a cold wintertime, or not wintertime, it's just Seattle. Well, why did you do this? Well, let me ask you a question. Right here in the front, I see in the beginning of the class, you asked the guys how to size the wire to it was a 1 horsepower motor, 120 volt circuit. I said, yeah. He says, and nobody got it right. And I'm thinking, I know that because they're stupid, right? I mean, that's why I'm here, the teacher. I mean, I'm trying to teach them the stuff here because everybody gets motors wrong. So I'm trying to let them know. He says, so I don't know why you did that. He says, it kind of gives me the impression you did that because you wanted to let them know how stupid they are and how smart you are. And I'm thinking, not that I was aware of what's going on. He says, I don't know if you know this, but you're the teacher. You don't have to prove how smart you are. You're the teacher. He says, the only reason you asked a question that you knew that they didn't have the answer was to prove to them how smart you are. He says, you don't have to do that. He says, well, here's what you do. Teach them. Show them how to work out motor problems. How to do this, how to do that. And then guess what? Ask them. Give them an example. Say, hey, guys, I did this problem for you. Here's the steps. Have them feel successful. Not negative training. You do it in a positive way. He says, in the way you're doing it, everything you're doing, look at this, look at that. I mean, we use overhead projectors, right? And I put my finger to point this and point that. He goes, why'd you use your finger? To point? Well, why'd you use your finger? I'm thinking, what else would I use? He says, why don't you take a pen and set it on there and point to where you want to point to. Then take another pen if you want to make another point. In other words, this guy destroyed me. Absolutely destroyed me. Completely that night. I had never been destroyed like that. Now the next day, he said, well, if you want to, he says, I can take some more notes and we can review it at every break. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm like, sure, that'll be great. Seriously, he sat down the next morning, and I'm like, I thought I put the pen there. I'm like, I am terrified. Every single thing the whole time. And then I get the break time. He says, you used the pen. That was good. And then everything else I did was wrong. But you did use the pen. You know what I mean? And you did this. He did this every single day for 6 weeks. After that second day, true story, the whole time we'd get up in the morning, we would drive to the seminar site. At every break at lunchtime, he may say, no, you're good right now. We'll get it at the end of the day, whatever it was. We never said one word to each other. At the end of the day, I got in the car. In the morning, I get up. Good morning, get in the car. Get out, do my program. Get back in the car at the end of the day. Did not say one word to each other. Get out of the car, good night. It was the most brutal 6 weeks in my entire life, and he transformed me. He took me from, how I used to teach, and some of you guys have done this, maybe you still do it. And I know there's a concept in there, I don't know if there's a name inside here, and that is that you kind of write a question that you know people are going to pick the wrong answer because it's just the most logical one. It's a three-phase
Thesis.
problem, but you make sure A is a single-phase answer, that somebody forgets the square root of 3, and so automatically pick A, and they think they're just doing great. And all of a sudden they get the results and they get a 68. And you're like, what do you mean a 68? How's that possible? Well, because all the questions had A or the B, the most likely mistake that you can make. And so that's how I learned, of course, and that's how I communicated, was that it was that negative conditioning that you figured, okay, well, if you got hurt, you know not to do that again. When all our curriculum is different. If you make a mistake, you can't get a wrong answer. There is no answer. So you're like, what the heck's going on here? There's no answer here. And you do it again and again and again, and there is no answer. The only answer you can get is if you do it right. Now you're like, wait a minute now. Square root of 3. There's the answer. So I'm trying to teach people, we write our curriculum, everything we do is in a positive. We don't use bad examples of pictures, of bad code violations. We do everything in a positive way. So my point to you is this. Teach. Don't ask a question you haven't taught. Teach them. That was a lesson hard for me to learn. It was terrible. But it was a great lesson. I have to thank him, even though I hate the guy to this day. Maybe not, but. All right, next one. Oh, here we go. Don't ask a question you haven't taught. Teach what they need to know. This is important that you have to filter out the curriculum. You're the leader. You're the one. I told the solar people that I'm going to next week, I guess, whatever it is in a couple weeks, to Colorado. I'm not teaching solar. I'm teaching how to teach. I'm doing a train-to-trainer for you guys. That's what you need. You can get electrical code stuff or solar stuff anywhere else inside there. Because I know that's how I can make the biggest difference into their program for all their solar instructors. Don't waste time on useless technical points. I know there are times that I've taught classes that I covered things that were technically correct. But I look back now and I realize they're so technical, so hard to understand. It's so insignificant. It just isn't worth the time. It's kind of like one of those things you want to teach because you want to kind of show off that you know this great information. No. Get it out of the way. You know, get them the stuff they have to have, that they really need to know to make a difference so they can go out and do something productive rather than too much information. And that's where the leader comes in, looking at the information, looking at the class, looking at the area they're at and the part of the country and the scope of the work that they do, to give them the stuff that they really, that's your job. That's part of what your responsibility is, to make sure you lead them on time. Next one. If there's several ways to solve a problem, concentrate on the essentials. I used to do this on parallel circuits. Okay, you have the product of the sum method. You have the reciprocal method. What's the other one? You have product, sum, reciprocal.
That's it.
Is that it?
Just 2.
Okay. And I realized,
What you made up?
why am I teaching both? I might expose you to both, but then I'm going to use one method as I work out all my problems. But I'm going to work the method that's going to solve all the problems. You with me? Rather than getting you all the different possibilities, let me show you how to solve the problem with the least amount of complexity, and I'm not trying to make you a math major and explain to you the reciprocal and what a reciprocal is and how the reciprocal is working. Hey, listen, product of sum, whatever that's going to be. So, and you know what? There might be some things that I wouldn't even teach in a class because it's like, you don't need to know this, buddy. I don't know any electrician ever have to need to know whatever. I'm not saying the reciprocal, the product of sum, which I don't know if you need to know that, but you know, that might be a scenario. So that's your job as a leader. Think about it, be prepared, really, totally focus. And if you have more time, then have a canned program to add those extra questions in there. It's continuing on teaching. Teach material that fits the class objective. What the heck are you doing? Better know what you're doing, right? That's the first step. What's my goal? What am I trying to accomplish? This is not, listen, being a great instructor, this is just not walking in a class and just doing something. This is a big commitment and a big deal. It's a big deal until you get the first class prepared. Is that right? Then after that, it gets what? It gets easier and easier. You have to make a big investment to get that thing started. But you have to always stay focused on what the objective is. But the objective is always changing, right? Every class is a little bit different personalities, right? And isn't that strange how every class is different?
Oh, yeah.
They're all different. It's like,
Every class.
and you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen when you get in a class. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, this is not what I expected. Teach to meet the student's needs. You might have to filter things out that you're supposed to cover. Okay, hit that real quick, get out of the way so that we can get into what the student really needs. That's your job. Make learning fun. Do experiments. We're going to be doing a theory DVD probably next January. And we're going to be doing all kinds of, man, if I was teaching a class on 2 nights a week for some extended period of time, I'm going to find out what I have to teach you, and then we're going to get into some fun stuff. And then we're going to be doing some playing stuff also. So try to find a way to get people engaged to do the fun stuff as well. Don't teach your passion. That's where people get all excited. And I do that. I do that. Everybody does that. And for the longest time, I'm teaching stray voltage because I wanted people to understand that. But I was able to get a great stray voltage DVD recorded, put it on my website. Now I don't have to do that. It's my passion. Now I can simply say, okay, I know what your problem is. Just go to mycolt.com, go to videos, take a look at fundamentals, and take a look at stray voltage, and that's going to be your problem, and solve your problem that way. Ryan?
Well, I think the point that I would try to make on don't teach your passion, because that sounds kind of strange. The way I read that is, look, my passion as an instructor isn't necessarily what you need to know. You know, I mean, I love teaching the theory. You know, you mentioned hazardous locations with me, for example. Listen, I get into flame propagation, and I get into upper and lower flammable limits and all that stuff. I can't teach that in a, you know, if I'm doing a 2-hour class on hazardous, I would love to talk about that, but I can't, even though it's my passion. I can't. You have to teach what the student needs to know. I've got 2 hours to tell you a certain amount of information. You have to figure out what that information is going to be, and the fact that you're passionate about it means nothing, because it's not about you. It's about what they need to know. Whether that's what you want to teach or not, what they need to know is what you need to teach.
Well, the problem is you don't want to run out of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, if you got a program and it's fixed and you have your objectives and you get it done, what you do after that, well, that's a totally different ball game. But if that's the case, then you need to, then the next time, do what? Organize your program again next time to add more graphics and more examples and more student work. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Work this out in class now. Here's a slide. Right, Eric? Boom. Pop that slide inside there. Okay? And even if you're going to work out, now what you could do is this. You know how strong I feel against this, but in the right setting, work out a problem off the cuff, okay? Say, listen, guys, I really shouldn't be doing this. And there's a good chance I'm going to work this off the cuff, and I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to make a mistake. So I'm going to try it, and if I don't get it right, I'm going to go home tonight, and then tomorrow or next week, I'm going to get the right answer, right? So I don't mind doing that, but then once I do it the one time, I do what? I make a slide.
Yep.
So we have it in the program next time because we know it's a real program. I mean, it's a real question that came up with guys that were in the classroom. So there's nothing wrong with building your assortment of material when you find out you had extra time. Do it at the end. Don't teach your passion. Don't get stuck into the topic and then at the sacrifice of the goals and the objectives, meeting the needs of the students. Okay? Teach with positive methods, and I talked about that. Everything that we do, our videos, our DVDs, our curriculum, every single thing that we have is specifically designed so the person feels good. In our books, and I don't have a copy of our books right here, but in our books, we'll make sure we get some books. We have a.
You got one right in front of your computer.
Okay. This one's here. Take it to the next level. Okay. This book has questions in it, all right? And I'll let you, Scotty, kind of zoom inside here. So this happens to be an answer key to a question here. Here's chapter 3. This is a basic book on theory exam preparation. And then it's unit 10, okay? So our questions are clearly identified as to which book, which section of the book. And so when you get into that part of the book, if you don't know how to answer this question, you just go to the book to that particular section. You look at the question that's in the back of the chapter. You look at the book, it's 1.9, or let's say it's 10.9, and guess what? You have to get 100% on our book. You have to get 100% because the question is clearly identified as to exactly which text question it is, because we're trying to do what? We're trying to teach you. Yep. We're not trying to test you. We're trying to say, okay, read this. Okay, I read it. Okay, now go to the summary. Okay, yeah, I read the summary. Okay, now work the questions. When you work a question, like, oh, I'm not sure about that. Okay, that's 10.1. Turn to 10.1. Read it again. Look at the question. Oh, yeah, that's easy. So you're learning, right? Then once you get past learning, then we start getting into challenge. Then we can start building inside there. But we want you to feel good. We want you to be successful. But we're not going to have you, I'm not covering anything in my book that is not going to be absolutely essential to what you need. And so that's part of our program. Very, very positive methods in everything. That's how you create your code change book. You just find the stuff. What does it matter? And why does it matter? And then the way you write the questions, right?
Well, yeah, and the way you write the questions, I think, is a great way to teach. When I first started working with you years ago, I remember there was a question in one of the books, and the question was, what's the ampacity of 12-gauge THHN? You know, and I know this is it's not a technical class, but one of the options was not 20 amps. Because you ask any electrician on the street, hey, what's the ampacity of 12 gauge? It's 20 amps, 20 amps, right? And I would have said 20 amps. Well, that was not one of the multiple choice answers. So I looked at it and said, well, geez, we got to change these. So one of the answers is 20 amps. And you said, why? So everybody get it wrong? And I'm thinking, yeah. Well, no, we're not going to give you that option because you know it's 20 amps, but 20 amps isn't there. So you have to figure it out. So doing that is a good way to teach. If you're in the business of creating tests as an instructor, don't make the test designed for failure. Make them designed to teach. Use them as a teaching tool, not just a way to measure the person's knowledge.
Well, when they get to that question and 20 is not there,
they have to
there's
open
one
the
or two
book.
things. There's something wrong with the question, or I don't know the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know the answer.
Right.
So why do I not know this answer? It's not like I picked 20 and I moved on. No.
Right.
Now it's bothering me.
Right. Now you have to look it up.
Let me skip that up and go to other ones. All right, let's move on to the next one. Don't concentrate on negative examples such as pictures of bad installations. You'll never see anything negative. Very rare do we use anything that's a negative connotation. We want to be positive.